What is going on, friends? Mike Mercado here from Sports from the Couch, the Sports Cubicle, and Bear Era. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful start to your March Madness in your men's and women's bracket. I'm sure half of them, if not all of them, are already up in smoke. But I wanted to jump on today and talk a little bit about the NFL draft. And more specifically, the emotions, the thought process, the expectations, and what's going to be the disappointment for fans once the NFL draft comes. So we're getting to that 30-day mark of the April 24th through April 26th NFL draft, where we'll probably see Cam Ward go number one, or Carter from Penn State go number one to the Tennessee Titans. We'll see what Cleveland does. We'll see what a bunch of these teams do. But I wanted to talk more specifically about the Chicago Bears. And over the last few weeks, we've had conversations here on the Sports Cubicle, here on Sports from the Couch. And if you are a diehard Bears fan or love the NFL, make sure you're checking us out over at Bear Era Podcast. It's myself, EJ Snyder from Bootleg Football, and Kieran Hall from the Irish Bears Network. And we have had some of the most amazing guests around the NFL, some of the smartest people, beat reporters, insiders that have joined us there. And we've done a few live shows, including post-free agency and post-combine. And it got me thinking, right? The Chicago Bears have obviously been very active in the offseason, whether it's bolstering their offensive line, their defensive line, and addressing the needs that they needed to, the thing that we all were asking them to do. But now we're getting into draft season. We've seen where Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson went around the NFL to look for veterans, looking for players that they could plug and play right now. And in the NFL draft, you hope to do that in the first round as well. You hope that the player that you select, the prospect that is going to be on your team after draft day, is going to not only be part of your franchise for the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years if you're lucky. You also want them to be an impact player right now. And stereotypically, the higher you are in the draft, more often than not, you're the worst team. You're a worse team than you are a better team. You're further from being a great team than you are a bad team, right? The Chicago Bears heading into this new campaign coming up in September, you can argue that they are a team that's going to have expectations, that there's going to be expectations on the quarterback, on the hotshot new head coach, on the transactions that they've made to bring in veteran talent around the offensive line. So by us setting the scene right there, we've seen how they have attacked this offseason. We saw they made it a priority to bolster their offensive line, to help protect Caleb Williams, to help implement Ben Johnson's offense, and to stabilize this offense moving forward. We've even seen them attack the defensive side of the ball, specifically on the defensive line. So what does that mean moving forward for this Bears team come NFL draft? We're just around the 30-day mark for that April 24th through April 26th weekend of the NFL draft. Things are getting serious. Pro days are happening. We've had the combine. Free agency has come and gone. We're going to get the second and third wave coming in just a little bit. So things have changed since the last conversation we had, because just a week and a half ago, it really was all about you need to draft offensive line. You need to draft offensive line. And when you think you've drafted too many offensive linemen, draft one more. That was the consensus thought from pundits, experts, fans, schmoes like me. Everybody assumed and thought that is what the Chicago Bears needed to do come this NFL draft. But is that the case now? See, it can be argued that the Chicago Bears have done enough over the last few weeks to now be able to be more flexible and creative in the first round of the NFL draft, more specifically with the number 10 overall pick. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty is the unicorn, arguably the best player, if not in the top 5 of the best players in this draft. The thing that's hindering a Jeanty is simple: positional value. Where are you drafting Jeanty comparative to where we believe the NFL feels value in the running back position still has? That is the ultimate burden and hurdle that Jeanty has to overcome, as well as an organization drafting him in the top 10. But let's talk a second, and I want to give credit to this article from SI Chicago Bears. So go to Sports Illustrated, the Chicago Bears on SI. This is by Brian Perez. Latest 2025 NFL mock draft has Chicago Bears sticking with their offseason plan. And I wanted to go more specifically to this part of the statement. Any projection that has Campbell as the Chicago Bears pick in the first round must be with the expectation he'll play left tackle in the NFL. Otherwise, it's a foolish pick. The Bears are locked and loaded with Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson at guard. However, noted offensive line expert Brandon Thorne has other ideas for Campbell's outlook. Quote, overall, Campbell is a prime candidate to move inside as a pro. Thorne wrote in Campbell's scouting report. He has the makeup, movement, skills, play strength, and competitive toughness to make a smooth transition to guard or center and be an impact starter with Pro Bowl potential during his rookie contract. Now, this has nothing to do with Will Campbell. I mean, I think the Chicago Bears will be more than happy to land the LSU offensive lineman. But if that is the case, where they are drafting a guard or a center, what is at least projected to some people, that is where he's going to end up in the offensive line. Does that bring you more value than Ashton Jeanty? Does that bring you more value than, let's say, a lot of people's darling in Tyler Warren? This is where I think you have to, and by I say you, I mean all of us, have to temper our expectations, or at the very least, be open-minded to what the Chicago Bears might actually be doing at number 10. Everything is in play here. We've seen Ben Johnson offenses draft a running back high in the top 10 when they already had an established running back on their roster. We've seen them double down on it. We've also seen the importance of a tight end to this offense. My point in all of this is don't marry yourself to anything, because there isn't a perfect solution. There isn't a guarantee. What you have to hang your hat on, what you have to hold and have the optimism on, and should be giving you some type of optimism, I should say, is the Chicago Bears front office and this new regime under Ben Johnson have allowed themselves to not be pinch and hold, to not have their hands handcuffed, to not be forced to make a decision. And that is the best thing any team can ask for in the NFL, is to have options. So if somebody falls to the Chicago Bears from Jeanty, Warren, Campbell, you name it, name a player that you love in the top 10. If they fall to the Chicago Bears, the Bears are not only allowed to, they should draft that player. Best available. Because they have put themselves in a spot to do that. That wasn't the case a month ago. That wasn't the case 3 weeks ago. But that is the case right now. The caveat being injuries happen. You got to look out for depth. You got to see things that aren't going to happen. You have to think about things that you've never thought about before, because that will happen in a 17, 18-week season. But right now, all you can do is handle what you handle right now, what your roster looks like right now, what you could plan for tomorrow. And in this NFL draft, after the offseason the Bears have had, I think it will be okay for them to be aggressive in going for the talent they want. And here's another thing that I always think about, and it's apple to oranges, different universes, but fantasy football and real football. Once the draft happens, once you've made that pick, it's over. It's done. You can talk about who was picked before you, who was picked after you, what happened. Did you do a positional change? How long did it take you to develop? It does not matter. If at the end of the day, Ashton Jeanty, Tyler Warren, Carter, Ward, Hunter, Sanders, wherever they're drafted, if they end up developing and being good to great to Hall of Fame professional football players, then it didn't matter when you drafted them. then it didn't matter if they went 7, 8, 9, or 10, or if you should have gone for an offensive lineman, or you should have gone for a tight end, or you should have gone for a running back. If you hit on it, it does not matter. So if you believe strongly on a talent, go with them. You do not want your favorite NFL franchise. You do not want your favorite team to be indecisive, to not have a thought, to not have some gumption and going with the decision they've made and being all in on it. If that is the case and it's Will Campbell, be Will Campbell and go through with it. Go with the plan. Don't look back. But if the Bears draft Warren, they draft Jeanty, I want that same energy from them. And for Bears fans, I'm not going to tell you how to be a fan, but it's not the end of the world. It's not apocalyptic. It's not even the dumbest thing this organization's ever done. It may be a risky thing. It may be an aggressive thing. But the only thing that matters is that you get it right. Do you think Washington cares that they drafted Jaden at 1 or 2? Doesn't matter to them as long as it works. And as a Bears fan, doesn't matter to you if you drafted Caleb at 1, 2, 3, 4 million. As long as it works, as long as you hit on the major players that make big time impacts on your team, it does not matter to you. At the end of the day, it's just nonsense and it's just a huge pageantry of a show. Can you get the best talent on your roster? That's the position the Bears are now in, that they could do that. That they could sit there and when the pick comes to them at number 10, if they love a player, pick them. If they want to trade down, do it. Because they've earned the right to put themselves in a position to make that risk, to make that bet on themselves. And as Bears fans, all you can do is have your opinion, watch it go down, and see if it pays out for them. We want to know your thoughts. Who do you think the Chicago Bears should draft at number 10? I'm under the belief officially that if Jeanty is there, they're picking him. If Campbell is there, they're picking him. If neither of those two players are there, they will be trading down and maybe just a couple of spots, but they will be accumulating even more picks. That is my official prediction about 30 days out from the NFL draft. We'll see how much that changes, but we want to know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below if you think they should draft an offensive lineman, draft more defensive line help. Should they draft a running back, a tight end? I want to know your thoughts. Please also visit us over at Bear Era Pod. We're going to have a bunch of awesome interviews and videos from pro days and break down everything leading up to the NFL draft. That's over on YouTube at Bear Era Pod and on the Blue Wire Podcast Network at Bear Era Podcast. I'm also on the Sports Cubicle every Sunday night here in Chicago on WCPT 820 AM, heartlandsignal.com. And of course, subscribe to us here on YouTube from Sports from the Couch on the Sports Cubicle. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. We will see you next time. I'm Mike Mercado.